If your mind hasn't been quiet for a long time, stay with me. If your thoughts have been running in circles, replaying the same fear, the same conversation, the same worry over and over, this message was prepared for you tonight. If you've been lying down to sleep, but your mind refuses to lie down with you, you are in the right place. Jeremiah Stone here. Repetition reveals resistance, and tonight we are going to bring peace to the restlessness that has been stealing your rest. Before we begin, leave your first name in the comments and the one situation pressing on your mind tonight. I will pray over every name that appears, because a mind under pressure should never carry that weight alone. So take a breath with me. Loosen your shoulders. Drop them. Unclench your jaw. We are about to do something different tonight, and your mind is about to learn what real silence feels like. There is a reason David, the same man who wrote songs of war, also wrote the most peaceful prayer ever recorded. David did not write only one psalm for the anxious soul, he wrote two. And most people, most believers, only ever use one of them. That is why their anxiety keeps coming back. That is why the peace they feel on Sunday is gone by Tuesday. They are using half of the medicine. Tonight, we are going to use both. Tonight, we are going to combine Psalm 27 and Psalm 23, the way David himself used them, and we are going to give your spirit something it has been waiting for: real stillness. Not distraction, not numbness. Real stillness. Let me show you what I mean. Psalm 27 begins with a declaration. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? This is the voice of courage. This is David standing up inside his own fear and refusing to let it speak first. This is the psalm you pray when your mind is under attack, when the thoughts are loud, when the future feels uncertain. Psalm 27 is the sword. It cuts through the noise. But then there is Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. This is not the voice of courage. This is the voice of rest. This is David lying down inside the safety of God after the battle is over. This is the psalm you pray when your mind is exhausted, when the fight has drained you, when you cannot carry one more thought. Psalm 23 is not the sword, it is the pillow. And here is what most people miss. The anxious mind needs both. It needs the courage of Psalm 27 to stand up against the fear, and it needs the rest of Psalm 23 to lie down inside the peace. If you only pray one, you stay halfway covered. You become brave but exhausted, or you become rested but still afraid. The complete prayer is both. The complete peace is both. In Hebrew, the word for fear in Psalm 27 is yareh. It does not only mean to be scared, it means to be paralyzed by what might happen. It is the fear of the unknown future. It is the kind of fear that does not need a real threat in front of you to take over. It only needs an imagined one. And that is exactly the kind of fear most anxious minds are fighting. Not the fear of what is, but the fear of what might be. And the word for rest in Psalm 23, when it says, He makes me lie down, is connected to the Hebrew word nuach. Nuach is not light sleep. Nuach is deep, settled rest. It is the rest of someone who knows nothing is coming for them tonight. It is the rest of someone who has finally stopped negotiating with God about the outcome and has decided to trust the shepherd instead. So when David combines these two psalms in his own life, he is saying this: I will not be paralyzed by what might happen, and I will not stay awake guarding what is already protected. I will stand in courage, and then I will lie down in trust. That is the rhythm of a quiet mind. Courage, then trust. Stand, then lie down. Speak, then be silent. Most people only know one half of that rhythm, and that is why they keep cycling between exhaustion and fear. Tonight, you are learning the full rhythm. Notice something else. David did not write Psalm 27 in safety, and he did not write Psalm 23 in luxury. He wrote both of them while real things were happening to him. Real enemies, real betrayal, real uncertainty. The peace David describes in these Psalms is not the peace of someone whose life is finally easy. It is the peace of someone who learned how to find God in the middle of the difficulty. That is important for you to hear tonight. You do not have to wait for your circumstances to settle before your mind can rest. The shepherd does not wait for the valley to end before he leads you through it. He leads you through it now, while it is still a valley. The peace is available now, while the situation is still unresolved. That is the gift of these two Psalms together. Now stay with me, because there is something most people miss in verse 4 of Psalm 27. And that one detail is exactly what your mind needs tonight. I will show you in a few minutes, after we deal with the real reason your mind has not been at peace. Because here is the truth. The anxious mind is not random. It runs on 3 specific kinds of thoughts, and once you can name them, you can dismantle them. The first is the thought of anticipation. This is the thought that says, what if? What if it gets worse? What if they leave? What if the money does not come? What if the diagnosis is bad? What if I made the wrong decision? Anticipation thoughts pull your mind into a future that has not happened, and they make you live the suffering before the suffering has even arrived. They make you pay the emotional price of an event that may never occur. And here is what is worse. Even if that event does occur, you will pay the price again when it actually happens. So anticipation makes you suffer twice for something that should only cost you once, if at all. The second is the thought of repetition. This is the thought that loops back to the past. Why did I say that? Why did they treat me that way? Why did I let that happen? Why did I trust that person? Why did I miss the sign? Repetition thoughts chain your mind to a moment that is already over, and they make you serve a sentence for something that has already been judged. They keep you negotiating with a past that cannot be edited, instead of stewarding a present that can still be shaped. The third is the thought of comparison. This is the quietest one and the most dangerous. It says, everyone else has it together. Everyone else is moving forward. Everyone else has the family, the peace, the calling, the answer. And you are behind. Comparison thoughts steal your present by making you measure your inside against everyone else's outside. They convince you that the timeline of someone else is the standard for your life, when in truth, no two paths God designs are ever the same. These 3 thoughts are what keep your mind awake at night. And here is the strategy. Psalm 23 was designed by God to neutralize anticipation. When David says, I shall not want, he is not saying I have no needs. He is saying, I will not live in fear of needing. The shepherd is already ahead of me. Whatever I will need tomorrow, he is already arranging today. So my mind does not need to run ahead anymore. Psalm 27 was designed to neutralize repetition. When David says, "Wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart." Wait, I say, on the Lord. He is telling his mind to stop replaying the past and to start watching for the next move of God. Waiting is not passive. Waiting is active attention forward. And when these two psalms are prayed together, comparison dies on its own, because a mind that is not afraid of the future and not chained to the past has no time to measure itself against anyone else. What goes unchecked grows. Anxious thoughts that are not named become anxious thoughts that rule. So tonight, we're going to name them, and we're going to release them, one layer at a time. Take another breath with me. Slow, deep. Let it out. We're not in a hurry. The next part of this message is the prayer, and we're going to pray in 3 layers. First, we will quiet the mind. Then we will restore the heart. Then we will rest the body. Stay with me through all 3. Do not skip ahead. Each layer prepares the next. Father, I come before you tonight on behalf of the one listening to this message. You see the mind that has not stopped. You see the thoughts that have been running for hours, for days, for weeks. You know every loop, every fear, every scenario this mind has built. And tonight, in the authority of your word and in the name of Jesus, I speak to that mind right now. Mind, be still. Mind, be quiet. Every thought of anticipation that is pulling this person into a future that has not happened, I cancel that pull right now. Every what if that has been speaking louder than the promises of God, I silence it. Every imagined scenario that has been playing on repeat, I shut it down. Lord, you said you would keep in perfect peace the one whose mind is stayed on you because they trust in you. So tonight, I declare that this mind is being stayed on you. Not on the problem, not on the outcome, not on the worst case, on you. Father, I lift up the one listening, and I ask you to meet them in the exact place where their mind has been stuck. If they have been replaying a conversation, release them from it. If they have been carrying a regret, lift it off them. If they have been afraid of a phone call, a meeting, a result, a date on the calendar, go before them into that moment and prepare it for them. If their mind has been spinning around a person who hurt them, quiet that spinning tonight. If their mind has been running ahead to a worst-case scenario, pull it back to the present. If their mind has been judging itself for not being further along by now, silence that judgment with the truth that you are not finished writing this story. Lord, you said in Psalm 27, "One thing have I desired of the Lord, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life." And here is the secret most people miss in that verse. David did not say, "I have many desires." He said, "one thing." The reason most minds cannot be quiet is because they are chasing 20 things at once. 20 fears, 20 hopes, 20 plans. But David teaches us tonight that the secret of a focused mind is to have one anchor, one desire, one place to return to, the presence of God. So tonight, I declare that this mind is returning to one anchor, not 20, one. The presence of God is the anchor, and every other thought is being released to its proper place. The fears are being released to the feet of the shepherd. The hopes are being released to the timing of the Father. The plans are being released to the hands that hold the future. I pray now for the one listening, and I ask the Lord to remind you of the names you left in the comments. Father, every situation that was written there, you saw it before it was typed. Move on those situations now. Begin reversing what has been pressing on this person. And if you have not yet shared what is on your heart tonight, take a moment now and leave it in the comments. Just one sentence. The thing your mind keeps returning to. Because when you name it before God, it loses its grip on you. Now we move into the second layer, the heart. Because an anxious mind is almost always a heart that has not been allowed to feel. Father, for the one listening, I ask you to come close to the heart that has been holding everything in. The heart that has been strong for everyone else. The heart that has not had a place to lay down its weight. The heart that has been showing up for work, for family, for responsibilities, while quietly carrying things no one around them sees. Lord, you are the God who is near to the brokenhearted, and you save those who are crushed in spirit. So come near tonight. Lift the weight that has been sitting on this chest. Loosen what has been tight. Comfort what has been bracing. Speak to the part of this heart that has been afraid to hope again, and tell it that hope is safe with you. Restore the part of this heart that has been disappointed, and remind it that your timing is not late, it's precise. Father, if there has been a loss, a betrayal, a door that closed without explanation, I ask you to bring healing to that exact wound tonight, not by erasing it, but by filling it with your presence until it no longer aches the way it used to. Heal the place where the explanation never came. Bring your peace to the place where the apology was never offered. Restore the place where closure was never given. You are the God who heals without needing the other side to participate. You are the God who restores without requiring the original source to return. So restore tonight, Lord. Restore from the inside out. And there is a word in Psalm 23 that most translations soften, and when you hear what it really means, your body will respond before your mind does. Stay with me, because we are about to step into that word in just a moment. Lord, I pray for the home of the one listening. Let peace settle over every room. Let the walls of this house be a boundary that anxiety cannot cross tonight. I pray for the family of the one listening, for the spouse, the children, the parents, the siblings. Let your hand rest on each of them, and let the peace that is filling this heart tonight overflow into every relationship under this roof. I pray for the decisions that have been weighing on this mind, the decision about work, the decision about a relationship, the decision about a move, a change, a step that has been delayed because the fear was louder than the direction. Lord, give clarity, not all at once, just enough for the next step. That is all you ever promised, and that is all we need. Now we move into the third layer, the body. Because the anxious mind lives inside a body that has been holding tension for a long time. The body remembers what the mind tries to ignore. The body keeps the score. So tonight, we do not just pray for the thoughts and the feelings, we pray for the physical place where all of it has been stored. Father, right now, I speak to the shoulders of the one listening. Drop. I speak to the jaw. Release. I speak to the chest. Open. I speak to the breath. Slow down. I speak to the hands that have been clenched without realizing it. Open them. I speak to the stomach that has been knotted. Soften. I speak to the back that has been carrying the day like a backpack that was never put down. Lay it down now. Lord, You said in Psalm 23 that you make me lie down in green pastures. And here is the meaning that most translations soften. The Hebrew word there is rabatz. Rabatz is not the lying down of someone who collapses from exhaustion. Rabatz is the lying down of an animal in a field, completely safe, with no need to keep watch. It is the rest of someone who knows the shepherd is already standing guard. It is the rest of an animal that has learned, through experience, that the shepherd does not sleep on the job. So tonight, I declare rabatz over the one listening. You are not lying down in exhaustion. You are lying down in safety. The shepherd is already on watch. You do not have to guard your own life tonight. He is doing it for you. You can close your eyes without keeping one open. You can fall asleep without listening for the next sound. The shepherd is awake. That is his job. Yours is to lie down. Father, I pray for the sleep of the one listening tonight. Let it be deep. Let it be restorative. Let the mind that has been racing finally find the off switch it has been searching for. Cancel the dreams that bring fear. Cancel the half sleep that leaves the body tired in the morning. Send true rest. The rest you gave to David in the cave. The rest you gave to Elijah under the tree. The rest you gave to Jesus in the boat during the storm. That kind of rest. The rest that does not depend on the storm being over, but on knowing who is in the boat with you. Let this person wake up tomorrow with a renewed sense of your presence. Settled, covered, held. Let them notice in the morning that something shifted overnight, not because the situation changed, but because their relationship to the situation did. I pray over the body of the one listening, over every place where stress has been stored, over the stomach that has been tight, over the head that has been heavy, over the back that has been carrying invisible weight. Lord, release every place where restlessness has settled and replace it with the peace that passes understanding. I pray over the well-being of the one listening. Sustain what has been strained. Renew what has been worn down by months of carrying too much. I pray over the finances of the one listening, over every bill, every decision, every uncertainty. Lord, you are the shepherd who leads, and you do not lead your sheep into places where you have not already prepared provision. So I ask you to provide. Not abundance for show, provision for peace, enough that the mind can rest, enough that the heart can breathe, enough that the body can sleep without calculating in the dark. Cancel the late-night arithmetic that has been keeping this mind awake. Cancel the spreadsheet that has been running in the background of every conversation. Cancel the worry that has been disguising itself as planning. And in its place, give the steady confidence that the shepherd who brought your sheep this far is the same shepherd who will bring them through the next valley. And I pray over the relationships of the one listening, over the people in this person's life who have been a source of stress. Lord, do not let this mind carry their weight tonight. What is theirs to handle, let them handle. What is yours to handle, you are already handling. And what is mine to release, I release it now, in the name of Jesus. Lord, give wisdom for the conversations that are still ahead. Give patience for the people who have been difficult. Give discernment to know the difference between a relationship that needs more grace and a relationship that needs a healthy boundary. And give peace in the relationships that have already gone quiet, the ones where the silence itself has been heavy. Speak peace into that silence tonight. Now stay with me. because before we close, there is one final declaration I want to give you. One that, if you carry it into your sleep tonight, will change how you wake up tomorrow. But first, speak these declarations with me. Out loud if you can, in your heart if you cannot. My mind is not a battlefield tonight. My mind is a sanctuary. I am not waiting for peace. Peace is already with me. What I cannot solve tonight, God already solved before I asked. I shall not want, therefore I shall not worry. The Lord is my light, so I do not fear what is ahead. The Lord is my shepherd, so I do not chase what is behind. I dwell in the house of the Lord, and the house of the Lord is quiet. My thoughts are not my master. My fears are not my future. My past is not my prison. I have one anchor, and that anchor is the presence of God. I lie down tonight in rabbats, in the deep rest of the safe sheep, because the shepherd is awake, so I do not have to be. Whatever tomorrow brings, the shepherd is already there. Whatever I have been afraid of, the light is already exposing it. Whatever has been chasing me, the goodness and mercy of the Lord are chasing me harder. I am not behind. I am not forgotten. I am not alone. I am held. I am led. I am covered. I am quiet. My mind is being stilled tonight. My heart is being covered tonight. My soul is finding rest tonight. And nothing that tried to steal my peace this week is going to follow me into tomorrow. And here is the final declaration, the one to carry into your sleep. The Lord is my light, and the Lord is my shepherd. I have nothing left to fear, and nowhere left to run. Say it again with me. The Lord is my light, and the Lord is my shepherd. I have nothing left to fear, and nowhere left to run. One more time, slower. The Lord is my light, and the Lord is my shepherd. I have nothing left to fear, and nowhere left to run. Father, seal this declaration in the heart of the one listening. Let it be the first thought when they wake, and the last thought as they fall asleep. Let it be the anchor when the anxiety tries to return tomorrow. And it will try. But tonight, this person learned something the anxiety did not want them to learn. That courage and rest are not opposites. That you, Lord, gave us both, and that we were never meant to choose between them. We were meant to live in the rhythm of both. So when the morning comes and the mind tries to pick up the weight again, remind this person of tonight. Remind them of the rabbats. Remind them of the one anchor. Remind them that they made it through this prayer and they can make it through tomorrow the same way. One layer at a time. One breath at a time. One return to the shepherd at a time. And Lord, for everything that was named in the comments tonight, I ask you to move. Some situations need a quick answer. Some need patience. Some need a door to open. Some need a door to finally close. You know which is which. Move accordingly. Let the people who left their names tonight see in the days ahead that this prayer was not just words on a screen. It was a real conversation with a real God who really listens. Before you close this video, do one last thing for me. Leave a final word in the comments. If your mind found rest tonight, even a small amount of rest, type the word quiet in the comments. Just that one word, quiet. Because every time someone types it, It reminds the next person that rest is possible, that anxiety is not the final word, and that the shepherd is still leading. And if there is anything still pressing on your heart that you have not named yet, leave it underneath the word quiet, and I will pray over it personally before I sleep tonight. Your name will not be skipped. Your situation will not be forgotten. Thank you for staying with me through every layer. Thank you for trusting this space with your mind, your heart, and your tired body. The fact that you stayed to the end means something inside you was reaching for peace, and peace reached back. That reaching matters. That decision to stay matters. Most people scroll past. You did not. You stayed. And whatever you were carrying when this video began, you are not carrying alone anymore. Sleep deep tonight. Wake up lighter tomorrow. And remember, you are not carrying this alone. The shepherd is awake. The light is on. The pasture is safe. Stand firm. Stay aware. Sleep tonight, warrior. The shepherd is watching. In Jesus' name.